right away on AMSAT's behalf. So what we did, we developed two trade names, KidSat for the younger kids, and no teenager wants to be called a kid, right? So we also incorporated the name BuzzSat. These are trademarks that AMSAT owns. We also own the domain names for these things. So as we push this out, we'll use the brand of KidSat for the younger kids, BuzzSat for the older kids. So it'll be a family of offerings that we will take out to the public. Now, one of the key things about this program, when we think about youth education, a lot of times we think about STEM. When we think about STEM, we think about schools, okay? This is very different in that it is not a school-based program. It is a community-based program. Why do I say that? Schools are great. We want to get the schools involved, but not every kid has access to a program like this through a school, okay? So we call this a community-based program because scouting organizations, faith-based organizations, homeschool organizations or families can use this. Everybody can use this. There is nothing that should stand in the way of any kid wanting access to these materials. A key component of this program is that it's not an amateur radio licensing course, okay? It's not directly an amateur satellite program, because what we need to do is take the things that kids are already interested in and go from there. You know, if you walk into a room and everybody said this, you say, okay, any kid here interested in amateur radio, raise your hand. Okay, nothing happens, right? But if you talk to kids in things they're already interested in, like anybody here interested in climate change, pollution control, anybody interested in a career in journalism or music or broadcasting, a career in the military, preservation of natural resources, controlling wildfires? Okay, you're going to get some kids who are interested in those things. So what we do is we say, you know what? There is hardly any facet in modern life where satellites don't play an important role. Okay, so if you have an interest in any one of these areas, if you want to succeed, excel in those areas, you should know a little bit about the role that satellites play in that part of your interest or that part of our life. So our pitch is satellites in space help us improve life here on Earth. So taking that tact, we have a list of curriculum, online curriculum that we're talking about that will show kids how satellites play a role in these different areas. In terms of complexity, don't be thinking college level courses or even semester long high school courses. Think more in terms of Boy Scout merit badge kind of thing. So kids can go through these, as many of them as they want. And these are just teasers. These are just things to help them get interested. If they're interested, they'll pursue these topics on their own, and we'll provide the resources for them to do that. So amateur radio, like I said, isn't the goal, but amateur radio is the tool. Amateur radio is the laboratory that we use in order to help them get experience with these things. Now, here's something else that's very different. Like I said, it's not a school-based program. So how do we get the message out to the kids? We are partnering with local broadcast television stations. What? Why are you doing that? Well, because we need a media vehicle that will get the message out to kids throughout the United States. Now, I'm not talking about getting 100 kids involved or 1,000. We're talking about the need to get tens of thousands of kids engaged in these kinds of activities. There's no way we could afford to do that nationally. But by partnering with broadcast television stations, they give us the mouthpiece that we need in the different marketplaces. Why would they do this? Because they are always looking for ways to engage with their public, with their audience. And typically the way they do that is with their weather forecasters. Their weather forecasters are the ones that, guess what, go to the schools, they do the cyclone in the pop bottle demonstration. The cameraman films that, they show it on the evening news, and boy, aren't we great. We're a an important part of the community in helping educate our kids. So the television stations have an interest in a program like this. So what we offer the television stations is the opportunity to use our content, okay, in order for them to, for their weather forecasters or whoever to engage with the public, okay. So that gives us the exposures that we need in the marketplace. Now, there's another interesting thing about television stations, right? There's a lot of technicians there, and a lot of them are even hams, okay? So there are two hardware aspects that also are hosted by the television stations. One is we are launching a fleet of about 250 ground stations, SDRs, that will be hosted at the television stations. Now, these are not the ordinary SDRs that you and I think about. Well, they really are, but they have a specialized front end because we're talking about young kids. Okay, we're getting them introduced in the most basic way. So if you look up at the screen there on the left, it's basically the old, remember the old push button radio in your cars? Okay, so there's a push button for the NOAA polar weather satellites, a push button for the ISS digipeater or the voice channels, or other satellites that Jerry talked about earlier, where we will carry educational payloads for those. So the kids will be able to choose the satellite that they want to listen to. The program will show them when and where to listen to. They're able to download the telemetry, okay, and we'll make them work. Now, of course, you can write scripts and that to decode all of this, but no, we want them to work. We want them to understand the pinnings behind all of this work. So they will have the opportunity to download the telemetry, okay, and work it out and learn how the wheels work behind all of this. Now, one of the other push buttons on this radio is a hardened CubeSat simulator. Okay, so there'll be a CubeSat simulator as a freestanding device that will broadcast to this ground station, literally just a couple of feet away, but it'll carry the sensors that Alan was talking about. Okay, so if a kid can't wait for an upcoming satellite pass, they can tune into one of the simulators and they can look at the different types of telemetry that the simulator will offer and go from there. So having these deployed at broadcast stations where you have the availability of the technicians to maintain these things, and I should mention pay for these things too. I mean, we're just not going to give them the content for nothing. So, you know, given the cost of what one of the ground stations is, or one of the hardened CubeSat simulators, you know, that's the cost of a broadcast microphone. I mean, that's no money at all for these people. So it's, I think, a fair trade-off. Of the broadcast executives I talked to are very interested in this. They want to see a demonstration. And in fact, by this fall, we will have 3 of the, I'm calling these non-orbiting Earth science experiments, AKA a CubeSat simulator. Okay, but like I said, they're hardened. They have to be packaged so they will sustain the heat of Tucson. We're going to bake the heck out of one of them down in Tucson where I live. We're going to freeze another one up in Minnesota where my brother lives, and just test the concept out before we release it out to the open market. Okay, and then of course, working with engineering, those guys are working really hard to get the Fox Plus and the LEO satellites in place, but I'm always nagging at them, okay, remember the youth initiative, remember the youth initiative. And so we're talking about some educational payloads that will fly on the satellites. And why are the educational payloads important to engineering and to AMSAT in general? Because if you want a free launch on one of the NASA flights, you're not going to get it because I'm standing in my front yard with an aero antenna yelling N1UW Delta Mike 42. That ain't why they're going to fly a satellite. Okay, so they're going to fly the satellite because it carries something that's useful in the world of education. Okay, so that is, I think, essentially all I've had to say in the time I've got available. Come on over to the AMSAT booth afterwards. and be happy to answer your questions, put you on the list. Now, remember, right now I'm selling vaporware. Okay, if you go to the KidSat or BuzzSat.com websites, you'll see something that kind of looks real, but we just had to put something up there so the Federal Trademark Office would say, oh yeah, this is a legitimate business. So that's how we got our trade names registered. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is introduce Bo Lowry. Bo was recently retired from some really important organization in Kentucky that had to do with education. Too long of a name for me to remember. Bo is the new director of the Ambassador Program. Take it away, Bo.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you in many ways. Got a very short period of time here to talk to you, and so I'm going to dispense with a lot of my background. I'm from Kentucky. I say Louisville the right way. And anyway, what we've been working on recently, especially with the impetus of Frank and the help of Bob David Hazard, W5RBD, who I don't believe is here, is a revitalization of the Ambassador Program. Many years ago, at the end of the 70s, I was an area coordinator for Kentucky. That's one of the earliest iterations of the Ambassador Program. The Ambassador Program has, over the years, changed and eventually became the Ambassador Program. And what you do as an ambassador would be to go out and speak to the public and engage the public in various aspects of space science, especially related to the work that AMSAT does. I'm not going to belabor it at this point other than to say that we are revitalizing the program. We've been working on this for a couple of years. Any changes that you may note to the program aren't really changes. They're just a response to what needs to be done in today's environment. And so please come over and talk to us at the booth if you have an interest in being an ambassador. Really, the only requirement to apply to be an ambassador is that you are a member of AMSAT, and one new requirement is that you agree to do at least 2 presentations, events, whatever you want to call them, per year. Hard to do, you say, because we only have one Hamfest in our area. Fine, we're going to provide training where previously you needed to get that on your own. We're going to provide that for you along with some materials that can be used in a presentation. We'll talk more about it at the booth, but right now we need to get out of here and I need to turn the mic over to our president.
Thank you, Bo. I wish we weren't out of time, but we are. So if you have any questions, please stop by the AMSAT booth, and just to encourage you to get there, I need your help. So every year we order new shirts and polos, and what doesn't sell, I bring in the back of my truck all the way to Alabama, and then I take it to Orlando, and then it comes back up here. Anyway, I got too much, not enough room in my truck. So I have a bunch of t-shirts and polo shirts that are free for you to stop by and get at the AMSAT booth. They're nice. They're like these sportswear type shirts and then cotton t-shirts. So stop by the booth, pick one up. If you have a question, please watch for me. I'll be there. And if I don't know the answer, I'll get you to the person that does. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next year. Oh, one more thing. For those that are interested in the AMSAT Symposium, will be held in Tampa, Florida this year at Doubletree on Rocky Point in Tampa, October 24th and 25th, but watch our website for further details. Thank you.